Success at the highest level rarely comes from doing more things at once. It comes from doing fewer things with absolute intention. The most effective leaders understand something most people overlook. Focus is not about attention, it is about elimination. In a world designed to fragment your mind, the real advantage belongs to those who can protect their mental energy and direct it with precision. Top CEOs don't wake up trying to conquer everything. They wake up deciding what will not get their attention. They understand that every yes is a hidden no to something else, and every distraction quietly taxes the future. The one focus trick they swear by is deceptively simple but brutally disciplined. They anchor their entire day, sometimes their entire quarter, around one primary outcome that truly moves the needle. Not 10 goals, not a long to-do list, but one defining objective that, if advanced, makes everything else easier or irrelevant. This kind of focus requires clarity, and clarity requires honesty. You have to be honest about what actually matters versus what simply feels productive. Busy is not the same as effective, and movement is not the same as progress. Many people stay exhausted because they confuse activity with advancement. High-level leaders strip away that illusion. They ask themselves a single question each morning. If nothing else gets done today, what must move forward for this day to be considered a win? That question immediately reorganizes priorities, silences noise, and exposes distractions for what they are. This approach is not about ignoring responsibility. It's about sequencing power. When your most important task is handled first, everything else becomes lighter. Stress decreases not because the workload disappears, but because momentum replaces overwhelm. Focus creates momentum, and momentum creates confidence. CEOs guard their peak mental hours like a non-negotiable asset. They don't donate their best energy to emails, meetings, or reactive work. They reserve it for deep thinking, decision-making, and execution on the one thing that defines success. They know that the quality of their focus determines the quality of their outcomes. That's why they build boundaries aggressively. Notifications are muted, calendars are defended, time is blocked with intention. They are not accessible by default, they are accessible by design. This level of focus may seem rigid, but it creates freedom. When you decide in advance what deserves your attention, you stop negotiating with distraction throughout the day. You stop leaking energy into things that don't align with your mission. You stop ending days feeling busy but unfulfilled. Instead, you end days knowing progress was made where it matters most. This trick also reshapes how problems are handled. Instead of reacting to every issue as urgent, focused leaders evaluate whether the issue affects the primary objective. If it doesn't, it's delayed, delegated, or dismissed. That discipline protects mental clarity. Clarity is what allows leaders to make calm decisions under pressure. When your focus is scattered, everything feels like a crisis. When your focus is clear, you can distinguish between noise and necessity. This is especially critical in 2026, where speed, information overload, and constant connectivity can quietly erode your ability to think deeply. The leaders who will win are not the ones who respond the fastest, but the ones who think the clearest. Focus is the new leverage. It allows you to see patterns others miss, to anticipate instead of react, and to lead instead of chase. But this trick requires courage, because focus means letting some things fall behind temporarily. It means disappointing people who expect instant replies. It means trusting that depth will outperform breadth. CEOs understand that trying to be everywhere weakens authority, while presence in the right place builds it. They also understand that focus must be renewed daily. It's not a one-time decision, it's a practice. Every morning is a reset. Every day requires recommitment. Distraction doesn't announce itself as danger. It arrives disguised as urgency, opportunity, or obligation. That's why focused leaders revisit their primary outcome repeatedly throughout the day. They ask, does this align with the one thing? If not, they realign. Over time, this practice rewires the brain. Attention becomes sharper. decision fatigue decreases. Confidence increases because progress is measurable. This is not just a productivity tactic, it's a leadership mindset. When people see someone who moves with clarity, who isn't constantly scattered or reactive, trust increases. Teams perform better because direction is clear, energy becomes contagious, focus creates gravity. It pulls resources, people, and opportunities toward it. But it starts internally. You cannot demand focus from others if you haven't mastered it yourself. The one focus trick is ultimately about respect. Respect for your time, your energy, and your vision. It's about recognizing that your attention is your most valuable currency. Where you spend it determines who you become. The CEOs who swear by this approach aren't superhuman, they're intentional. They win not because they do more, but because they decide better. They choose depth over distraction, clarity over chaos, and progress over noise. If you want to operate at that level in 2026, the question isn't how much you can handle. The question is what you're willing to ignore to protect what matters most. When you commit to this level of focus, you begin to notice something powerful happening beneath the surface. Your mind stops feeling crowded. The constant mental chatter quiets down, not because life becomes simpler, but because your priorities become clearer. Focus removes the internal conflict created by competing demands. Instead of feeling pulled in 10 directions, you move with alignment. That alignment is what allows top leaders to operate calmly in environments that overwhelm others. They are not immune to pressure, they are anchored by purpose. Once the primary objective is defined, everything else is evaluated through that lens. This prevents emotional decision-making and reduces the impulse to chase short-term wins that compromise long-term outcomes. Focused leaders understand that not every opportunity is worth pursuing, even if it looks promising. Opportunity without alignment is distraction in disguise. This is why CEOs are selective with meetings, partnerships, and initiatives. They ask not only, can we do this, but should we do this now? Timing becomes as important as action. The wrong task at the wrong time can be just as costly as no action at all. Focus also strengthens accountability. When there is one clear outcome, progress becomes measurable. There is no hiding behind busyness or vague goals. Either the needle moved or it didn't. That clarity creates urgency without panic. It encourages intentional effort rather than frantic motion. Over time, this discipline builds trust with yourself. You begin to believe in your ability to follow through. That self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Without it, motivation fluctuates and doubt creeps in. With it, momentum becomes self-sustaining. Another benefit of this focus trick is how it reshapes stress. Stress often comes from uncertainty and overload, not from meaningful challenge. When you know exactly what matters today, stress becomes directional. It transforms into pressure that sharpens instead of pressure that suffocates. CEOs don't eliminate stress. They channel it. They use focus as a filter to prevent unnecessary weight from piling onto their mental load. This allows them to conserve energy for decisions that truly matter. Energy management becomes as important as time management. Focus protects both. As 2026 approaches, this skill becomes even more critical. The pace of change is accelerating, and the volume of information will only increase. Without deliberate focus, it becomes easy to react instead of lead. Reaction keeps you busy. Leadership requires intention. Focus gives you the space to think ahead rather than constantly catching up. It allows you to operate proactively, not defensively. That is where real influence is built. The most successful leaders are not consumed by the urgent. They are guided by the important. This focus trick also reinforces resilience. When setbacks occur, and they will, having one clear objective prevents discouragement from spreading. You may lose a battle, but you don't lose direction. You adjust, refine, and continue. Focus keeps you grounded during uncertainty. It reminds you why you're moving forward, even when conditions are unstable. That stability is contagious. Teams mirror the mental state of their leaders. A focused leader creates focused teams. A distracted leader creates chaos. This is why CEOs invest so much effort into protecting their attention. They understand that their clarity sets the tone for the entire organization. Focus is not rigid, it's adaptive. It allows you to pivot without losing direction. You can change tactics while maintaining commitment to the outcome. That flexibility is what separates focused leadership from stubbornness. Focused leaders listen carefully, evaluate information thoughtfully, and adjust strategically. They don't cling to plans, they commit to purpose. Over time, this approach compounds. Small, consistent progress in the right direction outperforms scattered effort every time. The results may not be immediate, but they are durable. This is the kind of success that lasts beyond trends and cycles. It's built on intention, not impulse. The one focus trick top CEOs swear by is not about working harder, it's about working deliberately. It's about deciding what deserves your best energy and giving it nothing less. It's about understanding that your attention shapes your future. In a world competing relentlessly for your focus, choosing where to place it becomes an act of leadership. And as you step into 2026, that choice may be the difference between feeling overwhelmed by change and being empowered by it.